My name is Russell Davey, but a lot of people know me as Wasi. It's just a nickname. I'm an Ardyaloon body person from an Ardyaloon clan, which is here where we're sitting on One Arm Point. I was born in Davey, but this is my home. I sort of, in my younger years, as a toddler, I grew up on the beach, just on the front beach here in One Arm Point, when we were still living in the tin shacks and stuff, back in the 70s. And my parents, they moved to Davey for work, because back then it was important that young people with kids had to find job, so they had to move to Davey to find work. And I sort of grew up there most of my little primary school years in Davey. A few years later, then my Garlo, my dad's father, was getting old, and both my parents ended up moving back here to One Arm Point, and then I've been here ever since. My interest was in art from a young age, back in school, drawing. And when I was in Davey, when we used to do art classes, I was always looking forward to my art classes. I had a lot of fun doing that, drawing and stuff, and I used to challenge myself. And teacher used to give us something basic to do, and I used to go and pick something hard and manage to get it done, even though that what I chose was hard, because I really love drawing and stuff. And then it just went on from there. Then as I got older, my uncle used to carve a lot, bobnet, and he was really good. He was one of the best. And I used to sit down and watch him carve. So one day I just asked him if he could teach me. Like when I show you some of the carvings, what I do, like I try to be not only just being detailed in some of my work. I like to be a little bit more creative in what I do, like, because with some of my little bird bobnets, what I do, I actually get them sort of in a nest, or sitting on a branch with other little, maybe like a piece of wood or something. So I just make it sort of like a not just a carving itself, inventing new ideas with bobnuts. So it's just not just a bobnut getting carved. It's about being creative and coming up with ideas where if you see something and it's done all just from bobnut, it's like, oh yeah, you wouldn't think, So it's some of the work that I do. This is one of my first ones I did few years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago I did this one. And this one here is where these three are found is in one branch. So when I cut them off that tree, that idea came to my head straight away about creating this style here, or this actual piece of work. And this one here, you've got, because of the mother, the way the mother is sort of got his head tilted sideways, it's perfect for this idea. And then you've got the two little chickens that's sitting in the nest, and they're really identical, And you can see how that's a bigger one, and there's always a chick that's bigger than the other one. There's always a runt, so there's one bigger than the other. So yeah, just being a bit more creative, making it look like a real nest. And this is another bob nut, just cut out, and then a stand. Yeah, I also do. Not only that I carve bob nut, but I do painting, canvas painting with acrylic paints. Also carve pearl shells. Do the traditional carving, and I also do the non-traditional one. I make boomerangs, shields. So carve the shields, and also with the shields I do painting on them as well, and I also do wood burning. This one is a ceremonial shield, marga, and it's made from local bush timber, and we call it jalgi tree, and it's sort of a whitish sort of a bark or wood. And this story is about this one young middle-aged man, a warrior, painted up, and his young promised wife. That's the young son, and then you got the father-in-law, then you got the mother-in-law, and you got the brother-in-law where you put through the ceremony. Well, on my with culture, because culture is very important to, I suppose, being an Aboriginal person. It sort of represents who you are as an Aboriginal person. Culture is very important, with the language and the ceremony, and if you're painting a story, the story is still with you. And then when you finish the painting, the story is finished, and then you're passing it on to your kids. My son is into carving as well, so every time I do a painting, they ask me, "Dad, what's that story?" And then that's my way of telling the story by using the pictures. He's still got a long way to go. If you have a look at what he's doing, he's pretty neat for an 8-year-old. But I reckon give him a few more years when he gets more better. I reckon he can be able to do his own carving and make a little bit of pocket money for himself. That's his little fish that he did. Not bad for an 8-year-old. You can just imagine in a few years' time, if he keeps carving, he's going to be a champion. Because of my interest in learning about culture and learning about how to make boomerangs and carve bob nuts, it sort of paid off. Today you look at people, in my age group, there's a lot of young people that don't do that today, and you need to pass that down. So I feel like what I've learned, I'm passing it down and I'm keeping it alive. It's a very rare skill to have. So I'm sort of proud that I've sort of learned off my uncles and my fathers, because it's in both families, and I'm sort of self-taught, as well, because I didn't learn how to paint, but I can paint. As long as I knew how to draw with a pencil, it was easy to paint. That just comes into you naturally. When I do carving or something, I've always got like some of the ideas I come out, and what I do is like it's just being really creative. I've got all this wild imagination, so I'm always trying to come up with new stuff and being inventive. Like like people like sculptures, or people do sculptures. Well, sort of in that area as well. I'm going into making stuff, so bit of combination, you know. And because we Bari people don't have a specific style. A lot of it's come from our totems that we dance, the Ilma we call it, and and the body paint during ceremony time. Um, on your boomerangs, you got your markings and your shield. So that's art to us, you know. The pearl shell carving, the traditional pearl shell carving, the rigi. So to my people, that's all art. We didn't have cave paintings like some of the other tribes more that way, and you know they got the Wanjana and stuff. You know, those ancestors belong them. They painted all that, so they continuing that on as artists. So we have to as a Salvador Bari people have to come up with, or you know, I try and look for a style that sort of different. It sort of resembles me as a saltwater person. So you know, if you look at the dot painting, that's more inland. We mainly do lines, so I try to do more of my paintings with lines, because it's on our shields and ceremony, ilma and stuff like that, lines. So I try to do all that style, and I'm trying to sort of come up with a style where it's a one style, because at the moment I'm experimenting in different areas, and until I find that right style where I can just settle down and stay with that style, that's where I'll sort of finish off with, you know. You know, one good message here for young people to do is to, you know, if you got your elders, they're still making traditional stuff, you know, learn from them, keep it alive. Because once it's all gone, you can never bring that bring that back and keep it alive. It'll disappear for good if you don't keep it going. So I think I feel, you know, I'm very proud, and I've learned that, and I want to keep that going, and I want to pass it down to my kids, my nephews, and hopefully the younger generation, if whoever wants to learn. But if you got the passion to do it, you know. Culture is very important.